Testing, testing. 1 2 1 2. Okay, I've made a pretty interesting little dungeon dragon game here. I'm just going to put it out. I have a whole list of how I created it through iterative processes with GPT-4, but the final version is pretty much right here. It's a D&D download game. You start it over, and I actually have some pretty cool little animations here and controls done the only way Wickerson knows how to do it. Make an oscillation through some parabola graph mappers. And what you're looking at is a blue figure of what the character is. You can see the geometries of, let me see how this works. I'll have to leave here. You can see that the yellow blocks are the treasures, and the red blocks are monsters with hit points that once they're killed, you get some bonus hit points, and those monsters shrink down to a small ball. It keeps track of your hit points. You can set them up to 100. There's a number of treasures, a number of monsters, and then a grid size. I'm only using grid size 10 by 10. I can reset it. It starts the game again at 100 hit points, 0 treasures, and then the oscillation, you kind of maneuver your figures through math. So as I play with my parabola, that will affect at points where the path through the maze that well, actually not so much a maze as it is a grid, it will flow through and send your figure in different oscillations. You can try different graph types, just get a sense of what, maybe a sine curve or a conic curve would give to it, and you can pull that down and change the shape of that. And you basically just have some simple math to generate the path. So right now we've collected 3 treasures and we have 1 hit point left, so I think I'm going to die. So as I change this path, next monster I hit is going to kill me, and it did kill me. So I have to start over the game. Got 100 hit points, reset new treasures. I'm trying to make my guy walk not into too many monsters. Now I've slowed him down that he's actually not doing anything, so I have to pull up his speed. I can make him walk off the map, which is not so good, so you want to be careful with parabolas, which is kind of fun. Just playing around with that, centering it. I'm killing monsters, 3 treasures, 49 hit points left. I'm going to move him up here. He's dancing around a few objects, and I think I hit a limit on my map, which kind of stinks, but I won. I found my 5 treasures, and off I go. So let's reset. 100 hit points. It's just a fun little way, and then there's a little bit of text here, and of course it's moving too fast for you to see. You're doing damage on a monster. I might add some weapons and some text, and this is just basic, scripting. And to think that GPT wrote this full script for me out of just iterative qualities, as I asked it to do more, I was able to take this game over here, and I'll just put it over here. You can see that it's running. It's running a nice script that it's kind of adding up. I'm playing with my little number sliders. You could work it by dials, which is what I was doing over here. I had a game that I was just enabling, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to move my character through dials up and down around the maze, but that's not really random and hard to control. So I thought it would be fun to just jump into here and have a oscillation script that's controllable by math graphs, and just kind of fun. The script's pretty easy. It's all tucked into here. You can see right through that it wrote, I don't know how many lines of script did it write. I think it's 200 and something. No, it's 237 lines of script. And taking a look at what it does, you'll learn how to write scripts really nicely. It makes a player class that has a move and attack and collect treasure and gain health as functions within the player. It teaches you how to make a monster that has attack and damage and scales down in size once dead. It makes a treasure that actually generates, I thought I had a random generation of a position of the treasure, but maybe it comes off initially. I'm having trouble making it appear adjacent to the monster once it dies. The room is here, the grid size is here, and then the dungeon layout rooms needs the grid, the number of monsters, the number of treasures, which shelf generates. All empty rooms returns a list of all empty rooms, because you'll need that, I think, for the random generation of the treasure after the monster's dead, or at least ensuring that the treasures are generated on monster rooms or where the figure is. Draw geometry for a room. You can advance all this. You could have attacks adjacent to the monsters fire kind of the illusionary arrow or melee weapons versus range weapons. You could do spells if you want to carry this, but you have to imagine that GPT um, 4.0 generated all of this script by just text prompts as I asked for it. So draw the dungeon map, handle the player iterations with the monsters and the treasures, which I believe generates the monster. The player attacks the monster. Player gains health after the monster's dead. It finds all empty rooms for the treasure and places the treasure in one of them after you kill the monster. And then the monster attacks back, and you'll see that in this little output. But it's going kind of fast. You can't see it when you're moving around. So I think this one player died. I lost that battle. So let's try again and see what happens. And I'm just going to. It doesn't really matter if I change my scales. So I'm going to do a graph type and do a power graph, and just flip it up like this. Actually, I think I'll do a Bezier curve graph, which is kind of out of whack right now. I can bring it up and I can have control over it in kind of an S pattern. So that'll kind of snake me around through the maze. And that's ongoing. I've found 3 treasures so far. I have 75 hit points left. It's kind of nice, and I can change the speed at which my figure moves. I guess if I crank this up to edit to 500, I think that would be move very slow. So I think if we just take a look for a second, I think you'll see that my figure is moving very slowly now, and a little too slow. There he goes. He's just walking through the rooms, which is nice because it's kind of like he's thinking at a certain pace. And then when he comes across a beast, you'll see something pop up here, and it might give you time to read it. So let me try and angle this down, see where this guy's going. And I have a kind of fog of war on here, which is kind of fun. The player's a little lower than the building, so I'll probably have to raise it up. But he's looking around for treasures, and he's looking around for monsters. I think I'll just reset until I actually get a monster. There you go. So there's a monster, and if he does choose to walk this way, you're going to see if this moves in this direction. It did not. There's another monster in the maze. I mean, it's just fun, and it did hit it, and it generated and it went away pretty fast because he moved. But if I hit a treasure, that'll go up. There's another monster there. It's just kind of a random game, seeing if I can luck into. I've got 0 treasures, 84 hit points left, and we're just kind of seeing what's happened. So go back into here, and where were we? The player attacks the monster. The rest game state is persistent. Hit points are persistent. The dungeon rooms are generated. Create the dungeon grid. Dynamic player movement and visualization. So it's moving from the X position to the Y position, which are actually where you want to start. And that's where the player is moving because of the oscillation. If you got some text that comes up, victory, the player wins. Game over, the player's dead. And that's it. And there's your outputs. You just have to set your outputs, and I decided to put these in. It would be nice if this said hit points, so I could change that output of F to having a formatted line of text, kind of similar to player hit points 84, treasures 1, but that's basically what this does. So you don't really need these to look at. They can kind of be moved aside. I mean, they're not that important. It's keeping track, but it's nice that we have a nice formatted output here that we can take a look. So I'll probably save that as the latest version of the file. And as I move through it and try and win, I might be able to even pull up my my graphs here to kind of control it. So 2 treasures, 56 hit points. Let's put him on another path. Let's close this out and see how my fog of war is going. He's moving really slow, so I'm gonna basically amp up his speed by half to speed up my character, which is actually, I guess I'll just call that speed of character. There we go, and that's it. See, adjust the speed of the character. Oh, I got monsters on all sides of me, and I got a monster up there because I've got plenty. Is he choosing to hit them? I've got 3 treasures and 22 hit points left, so it's not going so well for him, but it's kind of exciting. Now, if you're a D&D player, this is just kind of fun, and it teaches to 8 to 12-year-olds, in my opinion, coding. It teaches them a bit about Grasshopper. It teaches them a bit about Rhino, and this is all kind of ghosted out of the Grasshopper window. There's nothing really there, and it's kind of fun. And you can try little. I probably have it set on rendered, which is fine. Of course, ray trace would take too long. I wonder what it would look like. I think it would have a box around it. Yeah, Monochrome's going to have the box, so unless I opened up the tops, it's not going to work. So I think the best thing is just put it in the render and watch your little game play out. If you want to watch it on multiple layers, put it all the rendered. I think that went to rendered, and then maybe zoom extends all as you navigate, And there's your form. You're kind of playing a little game here, which is really kind of fun. Anyway, I find this kind of thing interesting to teach people, to get people interested in what's happening. It's a D&D full game. I put it online for $2.99, and I'm sure I'll put it into one of my repos in a minute. I'm going to track where I'm going. It's kind of nice to navigate this and then move my players according to this data. And of course, you're just using multipliers. It's not rocket science here. Find yourself a monster, see if it clashes. We've got 3 items, 22 hit points left, and 19 hit points left. No other treasure. I better start wandering and find one. There's one, but instead of having total control over it, hopefully he makes the right decision. That monster's dead. He got another treasure. So I've got 19 hit points left and 4 treasures to go. Am I mathematically going to gain control of this? And this is, oh, there's 2 treasures there and I won. So there we go. We got a 5th treasure, and it keeps counting after. It even keeps taking your hit points down. So I would have died if I had to get more than 6 treasures, but that was it. Reset the game, set the speed, find out where it is, and see how it plays out. So it's a fun little oscillation D&D game. I hope you kind of like it. And thanks for watching.